Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Aishwarya Sophia. I'm an energy healer and an Akashic channel. Today we're going to talk about how to reprogram our subconscious mind. Are you tired of repeating the same patterns and going through the same lessons over and over again? Then this video is for you. In today's video, we're going to talk about the 3 levels of the human mind and 8 easy ways to reprogram your subconscious mind by spotting and erasing repeating patterns. There are 2 key concepts to understand in this video to get into how to reprogram your subconscious mind. The first one is understanding the 3 levels of our mind. Now, the first level of our mind is our conscious mind. This is where we store all of our awareness, right? This is where all of our daily tasks, our responsibilities, everything we're thinking about, that's our conscious mind. The second level is one level deeper than that, and that's our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is where we store a lot of our beliefs that we're not aware of, childhood programming, some of our childhood trauma. And our subconscious mind is all power and no direction. So our subconscious mind is where all of our programming is stored, right? That nasty little voice that may be telling us, oh, you're not good enough, that's not perfect. All of that is stored in our subconscious mind. So this is the part of our mind that we want to access when we want to reprogram our belief system. Or the deepest level of our mind is our unconscious mind. And this is where anything that we've repressed, any deeper trauma that we want to repress from our conscious mind so that we can continue to function is stored here. It's also the deepest part of our psyche or of our mind. And this is the part that we don't quite understand. Now, from years of reading about shadow work and our shadow side, I personally believe that our unconscious mind is very close to our shadow side. The way that I distinguish the shadow and the unconscious mind is that the shadow side is where the rejected parts of ourself live, but our unconscious mind is what houses our shadow side. So the next thing that I want to get into is the different frequencies in which our brain operates, because our frequency depends on the activity. So the alpha state is our awake, relaxed state. It's where our creativity can flow, and you can also call it the flow state. The beta state is what we get into when we're very action oriented, which is wonderful, but the shadow side of that is we also get into the beta state when we overthink. And the kind of beta state that we get into when we're overthinking or overanalyzing or going back and forth between 2 options puts us in a very frantic, fragmented beta state. Now, our theta state is the state that we are looking for, because this is the state that is when we're the most suggestible, and it's very easy for us to reprogram our subconscious mind in the theta state. So the easiest way to experience our theta state is either through meditation, or it also happens just as we're falling asleep or just as we're waking up. So if you haven't experienced your theta state yet, and you're interested in doing that, all you have to do is just observe how your mental state shifts as you're falling asleep. And you might not know exactly what I'm talking about now, but if you just pay attention to your emotional state, your mental state as you're falling asleep, you can't miss it. We are in the delta state when we're in deep sleep, or even in deep meditation, when we're in a very restful state is when we emit delta waves. And finally, the gamma state is when we are doing something and we're very focused on it. So that single-minded focus is also known as the gamma state. So again, like I said, the reason we need to understand these states and know about them or become aware about them is because this helps us regulate our state. Because, for example, if we are witnessing ourselves and we understand or we realize that we're in the beta state, it's very easy for us to just throw on some frequency music and calm ourselves down back to the alpha state. Today, we're going to focus on the subconscious mind and getting into the theta state so we can access and reprogram our subconscious thoughts. If this is the first time that you're hearing about these concepts, please don't let it dissuade you. These concepts sound way more complicated than they actually are. It's actually very easy to reprogram your subconscious mind with discipline and consistency. Let's start with an example to make things easier, okay? Let's say you just went through a breakup and you started to eat a little bit more ice cream or sweet treats every night to self-soothe. Now, this becomes a habit, right? This becomes a repeating pattern. Anytime you feel any kind of emotional anguish, you feel like having a sweet treat because that's comforting to you. And your mind, your subconscious mind, it really works off of suggestion, images, symbolism, and repetition. So when you keep repeating this action of eating a sweet treat, your subconscious mind associates that with comfort. So fast forward a few months, let's say for example, you've dealt with the breakup, you've gotten over the heartbreak, and now you feel great, but you're stuck with this habit of eating a sweet treat every time you feel emotional discomfort. So in this case, you've worked on the trauma that caused the repeating pattern and you've released the trauma itself, but the repeating pattern continues. And this is what I see most often. A lot of people say, wait, there's no way that I can have that pattern because I've worked through that trauma. Yes, you have. You have worked through that trauma, but you haven't released the pattern. Sometimes what happens is when you work through the trauma, the pattern falls away on its own. And sometimes we need a little extra help to release the pattern even after we've completely healed the trauma. So the very first way is more of a long game, right? It's basically getting into witness mode. Really detach yourself from your patterns, right? For example, if you want to start eating healthier, remove the emotions from it and just look at the pattern in a very objective way. Being in witness mode is something that's referred to in a lot of spiritual and cultural texts. And basically what it means is to get into a very neutral state and really observe your behavior and observe your patterns. So for example, if you're trying to get over people pleasing, when you know that you're going to people please, take a step back and observe that situation, right? Even if you're in the situation, just take a step back and look at yourself, look at how you're reacting, and really make note of what triggers this behavior. So being in witness mode and observing the trigger really helps you identify what needs work. The next way is through affirmations. Now, anyone that is into spirituality, energy work in any way understands the power of our words. Words are not just words, they are vibrations that crystallize into matter. And going by this, affirmations are basically positive programs that you're feeding yourself. So we run off of our programming, and affirmations really helps us shed the conditioning and feed ourselves with positive programming. You can not only repeat affirmations verbally, you can also write them down. So the most powerful, important way to use affirmations is by writing them out, preferably as soon as you wake up, because again, as you're waking up and as you fall asleep is when you get into the theta state. So if the first thing you wake up, you write out affirmations and you say them, you're accessing your theta state and reprogramming your subconscious mind directly. The same thing applies to doing this just before going to bed. Because what happens is that's the last thing that you put your attention to, right? Your affirmations are the last thing you thought about before you fell into your theta state. So it directly affects your theta state in that way as well. While affirmations work best done as soon as you wake up or just before you go to sleep, they are just as effective at any other time of day. They're just more amplified in the morning and at nighttime, but they're just as effective at all other times of day. The only caveat with affirmations is, like I said, repetition is what makes them effective, but also keep your affirmations positive and keep them in the present tense. So don't say what you don't want. Talk about what you do want as if it's already happened. And that's how you impress upon the subconscious mind that this change has already occurred, thereby reprogramming it. The next way is through visualization. Again, visualization is very effective if done in meditation as you're waking up or as you're going to sleep, because this is when we have access to our theta state. Another key with visualization is really injecting emotion into it. So one way that you can use visualization to reprogram your subconscious mind is by sitting in meditation and visualizing your perfect outcome, right? Once you have that perfect image or that vision in your mind's eye, inject emotions into it. How does it feel to have that thing that you covet so much? Once you inject emotion into it is when your system really believes that fact to be true, because our subconscious mind doesn't understand the difference between real and make-believe. What we're doing here is we're really sparking our manifestations by playing out this scenario that's make-believe in our mind's eye, so as to really crystallize that and bring it into the material plane. That's how visualization with emotion works. And emotion really supercharges your visualization. Because like I said, our subconscious mind doesn't understand the difference between real feelings and make-believe feelings. So what this does is it makes your subconscious mind think that it's already happened, and that's why it is going to happen. The next way that you can reprogram your subconscious mind is through hypnosis. Now, I am a hypnosis practitioner, and you can sign up for a session with me if you're interested. I mean, hypnosis and past life regression is fascinating for anyone that's interested in that topic. But hypnosis it gets a bad rep, I think, because we're scared by stage hypnosis, and that's really what we associate hypnosis with. Hypnosis is actually a very potent tool to access the deeper states of consciousness within you, and accessing the subconscious mind is no exception. So what I would suggest, if you think that hypnosis is the right fit for you, is to find a good practitioner who knows what they're doing and who can guide you through exactly what you need. Or if you think that you're ready for it, you can just do some self-hypnosis exercises and some self-hypnosis practices through videos and guided meditations that you can find on YouTube. Now, there's no real danger to doing this on your own, especially if you just take a moment to choose the right video. You see that it has a lot of positive reviews, a lot of views. That's how you know that it's a good guided meditation that's going to give you good results. But like I said, hypnosis is a very potent tool to access the deeper layers of ourselves. And if you're someone that's freaked out by hypnosis, definitely give it a second chance. It's such a beautiful tool to access those deeper layers of yourself. The next way is to listen to subliminals. Subliminals are audio tracks with oftentimes frequencies, binaural beats, and things like that, along with affirmations that have been sped up so they can be repeated more often, and they're not within our audible range. However, because everything is vibration, how this works is when you play a subliminal, you're listening or you're receiving the vibration of those words sped up and repeated thousands of times. right? So what happens is, because our subconscious mind works through repetition, that's one of the best ways to reprogram your subconscious mind. Subliminals work wonders. Now, when I first came across subliminals, I was a little bit skeptical, but looking at the comment section of some of these YouTube channels, it really gives you faith, because there's so many thousands of people saying that they got the same result. And what's even more amazing is that when I watched the video, right, when I listened to the subliminal audio, I had a similar experience. So subliminal audios are amazing, and I definitely urge you to check them out if you're looking to reprogram your subconscious mind. The next way is through EFT or tapping. Emotional freedom technique, or EFT, which is more colloquially known as tapping, is such an amazing practice. So what this really does, and I'm not an expert on this subject, so I'm going to explain it to you the best way that I understand it. If this is something that piques your interest, please look into it, because I practice tapping pretty regularly and it's very, very effective. So tapping basically focuses on a few points, right, on our physical body, where these are energetic points that carry a charge. They carry your emotional charge, and that's where you store some of these programs that we run. So what we do when we practice EFT or tapping is we tap on these points that I'm showing you now, and what happens is these points, as we tap on them, we're releasing the energy. So what we do as we're tapping on these points is we talk about what we want to release. So I'll give you an example, right? How this would look like if I want to release, say, a limiting belief about self-worth, right? What you do is you say a statement about your current state, which is, even though I struggle with lack of self-worth, right? And you replace that with complete love and acceptance. You can say, even though I struggle with self-worth, I completely love and accept myself. And you do this while tapping on these points I just mentioned. So what that would look like would be, even though I struggle with self-worth, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I struggle with self-worth, I completely love and accept myself, right? And if you keep doing that for a few minutes, you see how amazing you feel. Now, there are also many EFT practitioners who can help you. If you're interested, I will leave the link of an EFT practitioner that I love and trust in the description box below, and you can contact her. But EFT is such a potent and tangible way to release repeating patterns and to reprogram your subconscious mind. The next way is good old-fashioned journaling. So journaling is so underrated because it can be used for so many different ways, which is why I mention it so frequently in my videos. But what you can do to reprogram your subconscious mind when it comes to repeating patterns is you can really choose journal prompts that help you explore why you have this pattern. Because a lot of times why we repeat these patterns are completely unknown to us, right? It's buried somewhere deep in our subconscious mind. So if we understand why we're doing something, then we won't do it anymore, because a lot of times simply the act of witnessing your pattern makes it completely melt away. And this is not limited to smaller patterns. It also applies to long-standing, deeper trauma as well. All you have to do is witness it for it to melt away. So when you really commit to a journaling practice where you commit to really exploring your shadow side, which is your unconscious mind, or exploring your patterns, which are stored in your subconscious mind, that really helps you explore yourself and understand yourself on a deeper level. And this ultimately helps you release that hold that you have on these patterns, and you realize you don't need them anymore. So I want to finish off with a disclaimer. And what I want to say is all of these ways are so simple and easy, right? And they are like that for a reason, because we need to really incorporate these practices into our lifestyle, and we need to practice discipline and consistency when it comes to them. The next thing is repetition. Our subconscious mind is reprogrammed very effectively through repetition. So the best way to get good results from any of these ways that I've mentioned is through repetition. The last thing is patience and persistence. Don't give up if you don't see results right away. Give it a moment, right? What I do anytime I start a new affirmation or I start any kind of new spiritual practice is I give myself 6 weeks to see results. Now, 6 weeks is not a long time at all, especially with how busy our lives are. We don't even know how 6 weeks goes by. So what I would say is persist. Sometimes our ego mind, it makes us think that, oh, nothing's happening, maybe I should give up, maybe this is just a waste of my time. No, commit to your goal and persist and give it some time. Give it some time to give you results. And once you see those results, you'll understand how worth your time and effort all of these practices are. I hope that this video was helpful. If you feel like you want to dig deeper and get to know these subconscious and unconscious parts of yourself better, book an energy healing session with me and I'm sure I can help you in whatever way you need. If you like my vibe and you want to get a fun, lighthearted reading from me, check out my Etsy shop. And I think that my Etsy shop has only 7 readings, but I think that the 7 of them are pretty unique. So if you're a spiritual seeker and you want to know more, definitely check out my Etsy shop and book a reading with me if you feel called to. Also, check out my Instagram and follow me there if you feel like. I hope that this was helpful. I'm so grateful to each and every one of my viewers. Thank you for making space for me to come on here and share all of the wisdom that's passed on to me from my angels and guides. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and I will see you in my next video. Namaste.